Hey guys, Sean with Custom Offsets, and I got a video for you. It is Paint is Not Dead. And to totally contradict everything I've told you previously, you may want to go watch our video on Paint is Dead that we did about a year ago. The whole concept is the argument between vinyl wrapping, and completely repainting something. Back in the previous video, I had explained some of the benefits of wrapping, and I was way biased on wrapping. At that time, I had wrapped about 3 or 4 things that spring, so I was really addicted to having everything wrapped. Now I ran into a situation where I had the choice to pick between the two, and I went with the full complete paint job. And when we were sitting back talking about that, we thought, you know, would it be fun to bring back this video and walk through why did I choose to paint this vehicle rather than do another wrap on it. So we're gonna dive into that. I'm gonna kind of talk about some of the risk and benefits of wrap versus paint, or in this situation, paint versus wrap. I'm gonna talk about some of the cost comparison, which go back and watch the other video if you want all the details. I'm gonna heavily push towards the paint side in this version, and you'll see the contradiction. And I'm right in both videos, that's the best news. And then I'm also gonna talk about some of the longevity and ultimately why I chose to go this direction versus that direction this round. So let's go. Okay, so the first point I want to make is time frame. How long are you looking to have the vehicle color change stick with that vehicle? So when I was wrapping stuff, you know, for my bike, it sits inside for 90% of its life, and it's probably not going to see weather because I don't drive this in the snow or anything. For Charlie's car, which we brought you last time, and you'll see, you know, it's been through many iterations, many different color changes. He pretty much changes the color of the vehicle every spring. So it makes 1000% sense that he wraps a vehicle like this, because you can basically change an entire graphic of the entire vehicle. You can change the entire color of the vehicle, and you can do that every single spring and not spend an absolute fortune doing so. With the Cadillac CTS V that we just recently did, I know that I want to drive this thing in the winter. I know that I want to leave it this color forever. I have no desire to pull it completely apart and change every spring. This is going to be a daily driver. So I wasn't looking for something that I can change the color all the time. So pretty much for the same money, probably because I got carried away and did a satin color and I did the gloss accents and everything like that, I paid a little bit more. But generally for the same price, I was able to paint the car instead of doing a wrap. And the reason I did that is the time frame that it will basically stay on here. This paint job will last as long as the car does, you know, within reason. Obviously, sometimes paint can outfade or fall apart, or rust issues can get there before the performance problems, the engine problems start happening. But for the most part, this doesn't have a lifespan on it. A typical wrap, you're talking 3 to 5 years. If you're running it daily, you're gonna start seeing different issues with peeling where you tried to tuck it, or you'll run into different issues where the bottom, where it's starting to get into friction, especially with snow and whatnot, is gonna try to start pulling back. Because anytime you start to get sand or dirt underneath that wrap, it will just start peeling. I had also wrapped my side-by-side, I'd done the doors on it, and it lasted 1 hour of trail riding and ended up peeling both doors off because it just didn't work. The minute the sand got underneath it was game over. So if you're trying to daily drive a wrapped vehicle, I think you're starting to look at, you know, 3-year lifespan, and you're gonna be fixing issues where it's peeling up and whatnot. Because I believe, and again, a lot of this is my opinion, a wrap is made for a 3 to 5 year temporary vehicle that's primarily used for show use. And that's why I still argue that doing it on the bike was the right move, because the bike doesn't see a lot of miles. It sees almost no miles, but I just want it to look really good. I want the ability to change the color if I so choose, and ultimately the cost to do a bike was significantly less to wrap it versus to go back and paint it, which involves taking everything apart. So if you're going out and you're gonna spend $90,000 on one of the SCA or Southern Comfort automotive trucks, you're gonna want to not worry about rewrapping your truck every spring because you're spending a lot of money. So I think in that scenario, just like with the Cadillac, it makes sense to go paint, and that's what SCA has done, because that paint's gonna have the protection. It's gonna actually hold out the elements, It's going to be designed for daily driving year-round in any conditions. So that's why they went with paint rather than going with a wrap, which would have been a more temporary solution and probably run them into quite a few warranty issues if they tried to wrap them. So let's talk about cost. I know in the first video, Paint is Dead, I talked a lot about and bragged a lot about the inexpensive cost, right around $2,000 to $3,000 to wrap the car versus, $3,000 to $5,000 you're gonna pay to paint a car. And the reason that I was able to easily say this is less expensive is because it was short-term thinking. It was thinking you're probably going to want to change it a lot, and it's just a matter of how much money comes out of your wallet right now. This one's twice the price of this one. But that's not really true if you do actual math. Because this one's 3 to 5 years and this one's 5 to 10 years, now let's take the cost and divide it by its longevity. So if you take the cost of this one of $2,000 and you divide it over the 5 years, the maximum that's probably gonna last, you're talking about $400 a year. If you take this car at at $3,500 and it's lasting 10 years, you're talking $350 a year. So ultimately, when you start painting, a lot of times because of the years, the amount of time it's gonna last, you're gonna get the cost benefit out of the paint side of it. Now you could do that math totally different and say, it's only $1,500, but are you then changing every single spring? Now you're talking $1,500 a year because you're basically throwing that money away every single time that you change the wrap color. If you take a vehicle like this and say, yeah, but it's $5,000 and I'm only keeping the car for 5 years, that's $1,000 a year. So you can constantly do the math, and ultimately what you're asking yourself is, how long am I gonna keep it this color and what is the cost to do it? Because once you do that math, you can basically figure out the cost per year and then justify yourself which one is more expensive. Because depending on how you do that math, you could argue both points, and that's what I did in the first video. But in this video, I want to share that this car is going to stay this color, so this was a cheaper option per year to have the car completely painted. So one of the things I've learned with wrapping a whole bunch of vehicles now, or having them wrapped, I don't wrap them, I tried that and I failed really bad and had to give up. When you go and trying to start tucking a sticker inside of the parts that you can't take off, you will always have that edge that as it gets humid, cold, dry, humid, dry, cold, hot, they'll flip up. And basically anything I have wrapped, ultimately those edges start to peel up. And that drives me bonkers because it exposes inside of those cracks. It'll actually expose the vehicle color and you can start to see that. When you paint a vehicle, you only are taping it once, and you're taping deep inside of some of those areas that you can't pull apart, and then you're spraying the paint inside of there. And because that paint goes deep inside of there and actually gets inside of that crevice, there is no way for that color to re-expose itself over time. So to me, the peeling of wraps has been one of the reasons that my OCD just can't quite handle that, and why I'm starting to lean towards paint if I'm gonna keep it on there for more than 3 years. The other one that I noticed, I can't remember at all, so I'm gonna go to my notes and see what the f it says. So what you're saying, Sean, is that if I'm gonna do a vehicle color change every 2 years or 3 years, I should always wrap the vehicle. Well, sort of, but not really. When I wrapped the Lamborghini Gallardo, my intention was I could just take it off in 2 or 3 years, or when I go in to trade in the vehicle. Well, I went to trade in the vehicle and I said, hey, you should take it wrapped. And they said, absolutely not. They actually refused the car in the current condition and demanded that I remove the wrap. And I said, why is that? They said, because we have a feeling that when you pull that wrap off, it's gonna take some of the paint off. It's definitely gonna take some of the clear coat off, and there could possibly be cut marks from when they wrapped the vehicle and they were trimming. Well, the good news is the folks I had wrapped the vehicle did a really good job, so I didn't have the cut marks in the clear coat like some people have seen in the past. However, when I went to remove the wrap, it pulled all of the clear coat off one of the door handles, and it took some of the paint and clear coat off of an inside the trunk area. Now, lucky for me, Lamborghini Dallas is super awesome. They knew they could easily fix it and they didn't ding me for it or cause any trouble when I went to trade in the car. But I can tell you that when we got the new car, there is no way I'm putting a wrap on an expensive car like that, only because I have the fear that it could remove some of that paint. Now, there's an argument out there that clearly had to have been repainted on the door handle or inside that engine compartment. That's the reason that only those areas failed. But I can tell you that you likely have no clue if your car, unless if you bought it brand new, and even then they can do body work, touch-up body work before it goes out to the lot. that you have no clue if there's a small patch area or a fix area. And when you go to remove that wrap, that's probably the first time you're gonna find out if you did have a repaint area or a respray area, because there is a chance that that vinyl will take that clear coat and paint right with it. So that was a big bummer. I knew it was a risk. I just didn't think it was that prevalent, that it pretty much is gonna happen when you go to remove that wrap. At least in my experience, it's been pretty consistent that I run into those problems. So paint is dead, paint isn't dead. What is the conclusion to my argument? My stance right now is wraps are here for a good time. Paint is here for a long time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would love to hear if you've had good or bad experiences also with wrap, good or bad experiences also with paint, and let's figure out who's gonna win the challenge. Sounds so dumb.
Just say peace.
Peace.